Hi, today we're going to go over lesson 3.2 and 3.3. We're going to learn the properties of all the angles that we were taught in lesson 3.1. So we're going to start first with the corresponding angles. So whenever you have corresponding angles, we're now going to learn that corresponding angles are always congruent when you have a pair of parallel lines. Now remember, these lines are formed because you have this transversal. Now, corresponding angles, I refer to it in class as, you have the tables in, the bottom left-hand corner here always corresponds with this one. Those are corresponding. So angle 3 and angle 7 now we know are equal. And if you look at this, the lines are parallel. Those are both obtuse angles. So now let's look at another set, maybe 8 and 4. Now, if you look at those, notice those are both acute angles. Now, we have 4 sets, so make sure you write down all 4 sets over here. All 4 sets are now equal to each other. So corresponding angles are always congruent when the lines are parallel. Okay, so for this next section, we're going to start with some information that's provided in the picture, the 148. Now, I know the answers are here, but I'm going to explain how to get them. So we're going to first go to angle 5. Now, I realize these two together form a linear pair, and I know linear pair have a sum of 180 degrees. So for angle 5, I'm simply taking 180 minus 148 to get 32. So that's how I get my answer over here of 32, and they're a linear pair. Now I'm going to look at angle 6. And it says right here, I'm comparing it to the 148. How are they related? Well, those two are vertical. And we know vertical angles are always congruent. So that means it stays 148. Moving on, the next one says we're going to find angle 7 when you know angle 5. Okay, angle 5 and 7, those are vertical. So notice I wrote vertical here, and they are equal, so it's 32 degrees. The next one says we're going to find angle 1 when you know angle 5. So you have to determine what type of angles those are. You have one interior, one exterior. So these are corresponding. And we now know corresponding angles are always congruent. So if 5 is 32, that means 1 is also 32. So I put it was 32 degrees. All right, next one. I'm comparing angle 2 with angle 6. Again, what type of angles are those? Those are corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are congruent. So since the angle is 148, and that means angle 2 is also 148. Next, we're going to look at angle 3 and angle 1. Angle 3 and 1 are vertical angles. Notice I wrote that in. And vertical angles are always congruent. So if the first angle was 32, that means its vertical angle is also 32. And lastly, we're looking We're looking at angle 3 here to help us find angle 4. So if I have angle 3 and 4, I know together that makes a linear pair, which means together they equal 180. So 180 minus 32 is 148. Okay, so that's how I do that section. Now, next, we're going to talk about the alternate interior angles. So let's remember. Now, today, the new information is the lines have to be parallel. So I need to make sure to write that in. These lines have to be parallel. You have your transversal that goes through. Now, they're interior angles. So there's only 4 interior angles within the picture. So they're alternate interior angles. So you have 3 and 6, that's a set. And you have 5 and 4, that's a second set. And now today we're learning that alternate interior angles, when the lines are parallel, are congruent. So 3 and 6 over here are now congruent. 4 and 5 are now congruent. So really everything so far are congruent. Corresponding are congruent. Alternate interior are also congruent. But remember, this is only when the lines are parallel. Okay, moving on. Next, we're going to talk about the alternate exterior angles. So again, there's only 4 exterior angles. And we're going to alternate. So I have those marked here. 2 and 7, 1 with 8. Those are alternate interior. And once again, alternate exterior angles, when the lines are parallel, are congruent. So 1 and 8 are now congruent. 2 and 7 are now congruent. Okay, so this is the only one that is not congruent. This is the same side interior angles. Okay, now same side. Now keep in mind there's 4 angles here that are interior. The same side, 3 and 5 are same side. 4 and 6 are same side. So what we're going to do is we're going to add those together, and it's going to have a sum of 180. Now, I want you guys just to look at this for a second. It's a little bit blurry here. But when you look at angle 4 and you look at angle 6, you can tell they're not the same. For instance, 1 is acute, angle 4 is acute, and angle 6 is obtuse. There is no way those are both congruent with each other. So that might help you remember, oh, this is the one that together equals 180. So let's write our equations over here. Angle 3 and 5 together equals 180. Angle 4 and 6 together equals 180. Okay, so I'm going to try to cover up this answer a little bit. Let's find the measures of angle 1 and 2. So we do have parallel lines. So let's just notice that. How do I know they're parallel? This little symbol right here in the middle tells us that they're parallel. So if I cover up, now I'm just going to do this and I'll erase it in a minute. Just ignore all this on the right hand side. Ignore the blue side. So I'm looking at the left side. I see I have parallel lines and a transversal. Now hopefully you see the 78 and the 1 have a name. Those are alternate interior. And alternate interior angles are congruent. So the answer is 76. Now let's get rid of that side, and then I'm not looking at this side. When I look at the right side, what kind of angles do I have? Well, they're in between the parallel lines, so that means they're interior. They're on the same side of the transversal, so that means they are same side interiors. So to get angle 2, I'm going to take 180 minus 119. So that is 61. That equals angle 2. All right, so we found angle 1 and we found angle 2. Okay, now for example 3. Now this picture is really messy and I apologize. Now notice this arrow is going to this little angle here, and this angle goes here. So what kind of angles do you have? Now, first of all, when you first look at the picture, you may only see a triangle. So whenever you see parallels, go ahead and draw those in and try to find your transversal. So you can now see parallel lines with a transversal rather than just seeing a triangle. Now, what kind of angles do you have? These two angles are corresponding. So corresponding angles are congruent. So right down here, I set them equal. 3x minus 5 equals x plus 55. And I solved. Okay, so I did a lot of this kind of quickly. X is 30. Now, you're not finished because the directions say, then find the measure of each labeled angle. So I'm going to take the 30, plug it back in, and when I plug it back in, you should get 85. And how do you plug it in? It's just 30 plus 55, which is 85. What's 30 times 3 minus 5? Well, that is 85. So you're finished. Okay, for this one, why did I set it up this way? Well, first of all, I really hate when they draw this arrow. First of all, you're dealing with this angle and this angle. Okay, so you need to decide what type of angles are they. Those are same side interiors. This is the one, when you look at it, you can tell one's acute, one's obtuse. So they have a sum of 180. So let's add everything on the left and then start to solve. So I get 43. Okay, so we're down to the very last problem. And it looks like I already have lots of highlighting on it. Okay, which lines are parallel? Okay, so I know the answer's there, but let's talk through it so you understand. Okay, so here's the easiest way. Now, find the angles that they're telling you. So do you guys see, like right there, they're saying that angle and that angle are congruent? Okay, so follow along. I'm going to outline this angle. There's the vertex. There's the angle. Now, the angle at the bottom, outline that angle. So when you do this, do you now see that you have a set of parallel lines and a transversal? So if I extend this, and I'm sorry, my lines are not very straight today or ever. All right, so which lines are parallel? Of course, it's the top line and the bottom line are parallel. And that name, remember, you name it with two letters. So I say WX, which I did here, and then YZ, which I did here, and I put the symbol in the middle. And those are alternate interior angles. Okay, so let's do the same thing for this one. Here's an angle. Here's an angle. So look at it. Do you see parallel lines? Now, if you extend these out, you can see, now this time they gave you these little letters. Now, when they give you the little letters, you just use the letter, and that's how you name it. So Q and S are the two parallel, and then you're going to say, what kind of angles were they? Well, here was an angle, and here was an angle. And those are alternate exterior angles. Okay, now this one was always tricky. And I wish I wouldn't have wrote so much on it. Okay, so let's just get a pen out and start finding measures. Okay, so if this is a straight line, I know these two together should equal 180. So if I take 112 and from 180, so 180 minus 112, you get 68. So it goes right here. And if I notice, oh, I have a 68 here as well. So I colored them in darker so I could see them. This is my transversal. And these two angles are corresponding and they're equal. So the two lines that are parallel are KP and MN. And if I had to say what kind of angles were they are corresponding angles. All right, so I believe that's it for the lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to, message me or come to the tutorial or come in for school. Be happy to help you. Thanks. Bye-bye.